With the $60 billion supplemental that the administration has requested of Congress, we can ensure that Ukraine not only survives, but she thrives. With this support, in 2024, we can help ensure Ukraine can continue to fight, to build, to recover, and to reform. With this money, Ukraine will be able to fight back in the East, but it will also be able to accelerate the asymmetric warfare that has been most effective on the battlefield. And as I said in Kyiv 3 weeks ago, this supplemental funding will ensure Putin faces some nasty surprises on the battlefield this year. With the $60 billion supplemental that the administration has requested of Congress, we can ensure that Ukraine not only survives, but she thrives. With this support, in 2024, we can help ensure Ukraine can continue to fight, to build, to recover, and to reform. With this money, Ukraine will be able to fight back in the East, but it will also be able to accelerate the asymmetric warfare that has been most effective on the battlefield. And as I said in Kyiv 3 weeks ago, this supplemental funding will ensure Putin faces some nasty surprises on the battlefield this year.
Well, good morning, everybody. That is Victoria Nuland in her position as Secretary of State. I forget if she was what position she had, but she was calling for a surprise for Putin back a little while ago. So it makes me wonder if she knew. I don't know if she would know, but certainly what happened to Russia the other day was a surprise. And I guess my point is that there's a let me sign in. My point is there may be deep state crap going on to get us into World War III. I believe the banks, particularly out of New York, London, Germany, maybe, they need the collateral of $90 trillion worth of assets to keep this whole charade going. So they're taking us to war. So it doesn't look like I'm going to have very many people here today, which is all right. I was just watching Yannick Sinner play Bubik, and I watched tennis yesterday too, and I got caught up in it a little bit, and then time went by, so I didn't come on yesterday. I know you had a busy day. You had plenty of conference calls yesterday. Djokovic plays Zverev at 2, so I might sign off then, depending on how this is going. In general, well, there's less shills. There's nobody, Jeff. There's nobody today, so. But I'll keep going. I mean, even if I'm talking to one person, that's fine with me. The finger, let's start with finger. Finger is, it's been as high as 280 last trade, 272.5, 273, 274. I don't know what's going on in the background, so I'm having to speculate along with you in terms of what might be going on. But the volume is, it's not as high as it has been, but it's still pretty solid volume. So it feels like somebody is accumulating finger motion, and maybe there's more information to come. I think we have time in terms of trading. And now, just to be clear, I'm not a trader on the day-to-day, minute-to-minute like a lot of people are. I'm not like that. But right now, we have several stocks that seem to be tradable. And I think Finger gave us our trade. Oh, I got to plug in the juice. Where's the beef? Yeah, that would be terrible if it got disconnected, wouldn't it? Here. Let's make sure. Yeah, that's good. The juice is on. So anyway, I actually think we have 2 or 3 stocks who could show, or which could show movement in the next, fortnight. And Finger could be one of them, but I think Finger had its trade. It's a beautiful trade from about $1.04 to $5. Well, the low in the year is 103, but to my memory, when I got kind of intrigued by it and said so, was around $1.04. If you want to say I set it higher, that's fine. I'm not trying to. That's just my memory when I first said it. That sticks in my brain. And then it went to 519, almost 520. That's a nice trade. And to me, Finger did all I wanted it to do. I thought it would double or triple. It actually did almost a 5x. Call it 4x. But not 4x, it's not foreign exchange, it's 4 times. So I didn't trade it, unfortunately. I don't have a big account right now, and I made my choice to stick with primarily Railtown and Nixie, because I kept hearing something's coming. So anyway, you're not always right on your calls. I wish I had purchased Finger at, I don't know, $1.25, $1.50 and traded out. I'd even trade it out now just to make another trade. It's all about making money. It's all about trying to make money. You do not have to make money in the position that you brung you. It's not like the prom. You don't have to dance with her at the she's climbing the stairway to heaven portion of the dance. You can dance with another. Also, it's not just about making money in one name. You can take losses in one name, you can come back. But it's also about, you can have a long-term dream or a long-term conviction or even a short-term conviction on a story, a thesis of where a stock is going to go. But sometimes, as Bob Clayton explained to us, and I was I was probably 24 years old in the audience. I might have been 23, probably 24. The only time you sell is when the story changes, or I can't do it, or if you have a better idea. And that's it. Sometimes you have a better idea in the short run and you take it like Lou suggested. And I think some people did make some money. Lou suggested going into Cosmo at 20 cents. And I think some people made money on that trade. And I have my thoughts about what was driving behind the scenes, and he may totally have been innocent about it. But that kind of idea, take that trade and then come back, you can always do that. I guess this is a good point in this video. I'm going to try to start doing this. I seek the safe harbor of all the disclosures you've ever read on a financial product or an idea. I'm not an attorney. I don't, just because what I'm about to say may or may not be complete, I don't limit my protection because I didn't think of something. You guys are adults. You've had a lot of experience now from AMC, GME, and others. So you understand that every stock here is risky. Every stock here is speculative, and you can lose everything if you trade options or if you mishandle a trade. I am not my whatever you call this show. It's hardly a show. I get 12 people watching, but these are ideas. This is strategy. It's opinion. It's educational. It's a forum to discuss things. But nothing I say is financial advice. And currently, I am not paid by anyone. Although at any time, I am willing to accept some sort, contribution, cash. If a company came to me and said, we want to get in front of your audience and we'll give you, 10,000 shares of restricted stock, I would, if I like the company. I'm not going to do it for Genius Brands or for COSM. I'm not there. I can't think of a situation where I would ever present those ideas to you. But if it's a silver company or a oil and gas company or one of these even, I would do it. I just don't, no one wants to pay me anything or give me shares to come in front of this audience. There are other people out there who do get shares, who do get cash, who do get kickbacks, who do get paid to come in front of you. And let me just finish on my disclosure. So if you buy or sell, it's your decision. You've got to do your own due diligence. I will do my best to let you know what I think. But this isn't financial advice. At the core of it, I do not have a fiduciary responsibility or a fiduciary relationship with any of you. I don't know you. I don't know your financial situation. So it's an impossibility. And I don't get paid for your trades, your success, any of it. So anyway, I'll try to get that disclosure tightened up, but that's my Jennifer disclosure. And just to be clear, I am not a consultant for Finger. I am not a consultant for G-Bucks. I am not a consultant for Nixie. I am not a consultant for Railtown. And, if there's another stock I need to say it for, I'm not a consultant for anybody right now. I'm telling you, I am willing to be a consultant. And then that gets into that area, like, when when people start asking you, hey, we noticed you're with that, that beautiful woman who has, blah, blah, blah. Did you, then you got to go, well, if I say no every time, and then one time I don't answer, I don't know. I've got to seek an attorney on that. But anyway, let's leave it there. That's my disclosure. Now, let's go through the prices again. Finger is at 273.5. It holds up pretty well, but 250 is probably the rocks that this boat, I wouldn't say crashes on, because I don't think it's bad. 250 is a good price, but I think it's where the boat is drifting into the safe harbor maybe, and we'll sit there for a little while. But I think Finger has a lot of good fundamental possibilities and things to execute. So I think Finger's achieved a new level, but we'll see. Next on my list is G-Bucks, and I would throw it open to the audience what's going on there. The stock is up 37 cents. It's 461 something, and the volume is equal to its 10-day average volume basically. So I don't, if there's a party here, I don't think the party has started. There does seem to be, if it's not spoofing, there does seem to be stock available at the ask of 470, but it's 455 to 470, high of 470, and I'm a genius. I told you guys to buy it at 271, so I'm bloody brilliant at predicting stock prices. I'm teasing. I owe that. I think it's a guy named Mike and a guy named David, and somebody else too. It was their idea, not mine. All right, and then Railtown is down. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but don't read into it. That's 34 cents. Maybe at some point, particularly if there's a question. I also still am intrigued at getting a list of who owns what on Railtown. My I asked over 2 or 3 days, and my informal number, we're over 1 million shares of Railtown here. Why? Why do I want to know? I guess it'll be intriguing if that stock does well. Partly I'll feel good that you have made money, but it could be significant. I mean, it could be a nice, if I were still a wealth advisor, it could be a meaningful part of my book if it worked out. So it's just, old habits. All right. And then Nixie is the one that's acting like a pixie this morning. 199. Are you out of your mind on the bid? 201 ask. The high is 207. Volume has nearly doubled. And I'll show it to you in a second. But if I go to my media page, it destroys a lot of the comments. So I'll have to go there after I go through the comments. That's a lesson I've learned a few times right now. Yahoo. Trump's big bill set to add 2.4 trillion to the deficit. Look, we can talk about that, but that's over a decade. the U.S. financial system is like a shark. It has to keep swimming. It's like a relationship, particularly with an insecure woman. You've got to keep it moving forward, otherwise it dies. And that's the way our financial system is. We have to keep creating debt. It's just how it is. And so you can blame it on Biden like I do, or try to make excuses for Trump like I do. But the fact is, every single president is going to increase our debt because that's the time in our financial cycle which we're in. However, it does matter what it's spent on. It does matter that. I think Biden spent a lot of money importing 40 million people who we didn't screen. We didn't screen if they like America, if they want to be here, that we didn't screen for diseases. We didn't even screen if they're part of the Communist Party here to commit sabotage. We just didn't screen, but we spent a hell of a lot of money. We also, the Democratic Party, where, truth resides, Trump and truth are oxymoronic, as I've been told. But the Democratic Party, the auto pen, the Biden administration, funneled billions of dollars from everyone to a failed governor candidate in Georgia, to migrants, to friends, to Samantha Power somehow became worth $60 million. Guys, our government is at the state where it's being looted. You are being looted before it all collapses. That's what's happening. And people that have access to that and there's no enforcement anymore. And we'll talk about that as it relates to us a little bit later. But anyway, so Trump has his big beautiful bill is going to add 2.4 trillion to the deficit over 10 years. Well, I wonder what he's spending it on. And I guess Trump just said something, because it says Trump calls Powell unbelievable as he renews call for lower rates. But I've noticed, I don't know if it's true, my perception, there's no real coverage, broad-based coverage of the risk we're at of World War III because of the Victoria Nuland type deep state neocon thinking that's led us to bomb inside the Soviet Union. I also noticed in that context, it doesn't seem that Trump's out there very much. So I'm hopeful that Trump has flown somewhere, maybe in the middle of the Atlantic, and I know Lou would prefer under the Atlantic. And maybe he's meeting with Putin. I think the only way we avoid World War III is if Putin and Trump meet in the room, they speak English, they're there for a while, and I think we could solve the Middle East, solve the Ukraine, and lift sanctions and create an economic partnership that would be a true behemoth going forward and beneficial to both sides. NVIDIA, $1 trillion rally continuing. So I bet SMH is going to head to 450, like I said. I'm not taking credit. I listen to a lot of other people. So let's look up, make sure that I cover the news on Nixie. It's not coming up. I can't make it. All right, there it goes. All right, Nixie up 21 cents, up almost 12%. Nixie announces acquisition of LeadNova.ai. So it's obviously an AI item. Nixie announces acquisition of LeadNova AI platform assets from NextGen AI and reports. It's not on EGDR, so I think until it's a quarterly report, let's just hold our breath. But they can get in trouble if they report something and it's not true. So Nixie reports 5.2 million in May revenue. For the thick-headed of us, me, let's try to annualize that. At 5 million a month times 10 months, that's 50 million a year. And you got 2 more months in the year times 5, so that's 10 million. That's 60 million a year, ostensibly, if it continues. 60 million a year in revenue, and they make profits. It's not double finger, but it's to compare, it's a comparable idea. I'm not saying anything negative about Finger at all. I'm just saying that Finger's better known and it's given a higher market cap for its revenue. And it may be that Finger has much more exciting growth prospects. So we'll have to compare what we learn about Nixie. But let's see what they say here. Nixie, an AI-powered data and communications infrastructure company, today announced the successful acquisition of the LeadNova AI platform assets from NextGen AI suite of companies. Nixie also reported that it generated approximately 5.2 million in unaudited gross revenue for the month of May, up from approximately 1.4 million in April. That's fantastic. LeadNova is a SaaS-based solution designed to support business development through data delivery, sales enablement, outreach automation, DEI fulfillment. No, I made that up. And engagement analytics. As part of the asset acquisition, Nixie will take ownership of the LeadNova.ai domain. So I guess we know what the company is going to be called. Maybe. Front end and back end software, automation engines, structured data repositories, and API infrastructure. I'll look up this domain, LeadNova.ai. The integration of LeadNova.ai into Nixie's AuraLink AI platform, everything's AI now, is expected to accelerate Nixie's AI-enhanced telecom strategy and enable more intelligent, performance-driven enterprise communications services. More intelligent than whom, one wonders. Quote, our strategy is focused on combining infrastructure with automation and AI, said Mike Schmidt, CEO of Nixie. He continues, LeadNova.ai adds powerful capabilities that align perfectly with our vision to deliver smarter, higher margin communications services at scale, unquote. Nixie generated gross revenues unaudited of approximately 5.2 million in May of 2025, representing continued traction in its growth and expansion strategy. With additional customer agreements and infrastructure now coming online, Nixie continues to target a $10 million monthly revenue run rate by August of 2025. So again, for the dunderhead in here, me, let's just run that through. If Nixie gets to 10 million monthly revenue run rate by August this year, the forward 12 months would be 10 million times 10, that's 100 million, plus 2 more months, that's 20 million. It'd be 120 million for the looking forward from August for 12 months. 120 million. Now I got to point out that's 3 times what Finger's doing. I'm not criticizing Finger. I'm just suggesting that Finger at 200 million market cap and Nixie at 40 million market cap, well, maybe they meet in the middle. Maybe Nixie goes to the same size as Finger Motion. I'm not saying anything bad about Finger. I'm just, Finger is a better known story than Nixie. So this is good news. Of course, the numbers are contingent on continued execution and successful onboarding of new partners. I'm looking for a partner to onboard. Quote, we're pleased with the early momentum and the diversity of revenue sources. See, I told you it's DEI, starting to emerge, added Schmidt. We expect ongoing growth across voice, messaging, and enterprise automation as we scale our network and integrate our AI capabilities, unquote. Further updates will be provided. Nixie today announced the pricing of a registered direct offering for the sale and issuance of up to 846,667 shares, 846,667 shares of the company's private stock to a small group of accredited investors. And I'd love to get us in that group. And if Railtown works, maybe in the future, we can participate in these kind of offerings. Accredited investors at a price of $1.50. I would like to build up the heft of this audience, you, so that maybe with a little interaction, you know, some of us or all of us can participate. Maybe we can set up a fund or something. But anyway, accredited investors who stay in touch with stories often get these ideas. The shares of common stock in the registered direct offering were offered pursuant to a shelf registration statement, S3, which has been on file since September 16, 22, and was declared effective by the SEC on September 30, 22. Prospectus and blah, blah, and electronic and blah, blah, and blah, blah, and about Nixie, contact information, and blah, blah. All right, so let's see how the prices are going. 201 on Nixie. I looked at the chart, and I'll show you what I have, but I'm going to go through your comments first. Otherwise, I'll lose the comments. There's not many, so it shouldn't take too long. It's $1.98 to $2, won by 10,000, I guess. Or, yeah, I think that's 10,000 on the offer. Unless it's literal, it might be literal and it's only 100. But I, when I used to follow company, now it's down. You always had to add 2 zeros, so it's 200 by 100 now, 196 to 199. Last trade 196. Anyway, Nixie to me looked like it crossed its 20-day moving average, which itself had crossed the 50-day moving average. And it gapped open in a tiny way to do that. And this is where I think the resistance was, right around 196, 197 range. I'm not perfectly exact on that. And so it broke through here, and then of course it'll come back to test it a little bit. And then I think we should be at 260 fairly quickly in Nixie, $2.60. If my chart reading is anywhere near useful. So I think it's headed to 260. And then I don't see a lot of resistance at 260. I think if there's further news or further oomph, further buying, further events in Nixie, I think it'll go to 6 or 650, 625 fairly easily. I don't see any resistance until then. And then that'll be, once it's there, if it gets there, that'll be the third attempt in the last few months to break through there decisively. And I think once it breaks, if it breaks through 650, it could go to what happened in October, I think. It went to 8 or 12 pre-market. And I think that becomes your next goal on Nixie. And if it breaks 10, breaks 11, breaks 12, breaks 13, it was recruiter.com, which was destroyed by short sellers. And that would imply to me that there's a chance. I'm not telling you to own it for that reason, but there's a chance of miniature short covering drama in Nixie. It's possible. I don't give it high odds, but it's possible. I also don't give it a high target. But what could it do? The way I read the chart, it could go into the mid-20s and it could go to $30 or so if it really broke loose. And there's higher targets. I don't want you focusing on them, but to my memory, there was a 40, a 60, and even over 100. I just don't think it's going that far. I think I think if it went to 8 or 10, that would be awesome. All right, let's see how anything else is trading. G-Bucks is at 470. I told you 2 points ago. I'm so smart. I told you to get into G-Bucks at 271. I'm a genius. G-Bucks is Ham's idea. And of course, he told you to get in. Well, he mentioned it. He wasn't telling you what to do. He mentioned it at 60, 70 cents. It went to 10. It's pulled back, and now it's at 470. He's a source of information on it. But there's others here, and we'll go through that. And I guess that's all I have to say about the stock prices right now. There's David. So glad you made that call. See, I'm so smart, David. It went as high as 491. I'm a bloody genius, David. Is Ham still abroad? Last time I listened to him, he sounded quite male, so I know he's not a broad. Is he out of the country? That's the first time I've heard any suggestion of such, but he might be. He might be. Hey, technology spastic. Peace on earth. Yes, peace on earth. Leonard Armstrong. A nuclear bomb could hit New York City and the stock market would go up. Algos are buying at 98% rating. Most bullish signal. Now, Leonard, if you've been listening to me for quite a while now, even when it looked dark and everyone was giving up and saying the SPY was going lower, I was calling for much higher prices and a bullish turnaround. And I'm not, it's not something special about me. I just try to process a lot of information like I was trained at Merrill Lynch and then make my best call. It's a lot like going to the track. I always buy the daily cheat sheets and I read them all. I get too much information probably. But if one of the tip sheets is working, I tend to follow that person for the next races. And I think we're in the middle of a blow off top that's going to, by the time it's done, it'll be all that anybody on the news talks about. And it'll be Trump maybe getting credit, but it might be uh, the Build Back Better campaign. It could be anything. Doesn't matter what reason they give. The biggest reason is there's a lot of cash out there, and these guys that all wear red socks, they don't want to be caught in their shop with a mutual fund or an investment fund that underperforms the top 25, top 20, top 10%. So they all got to jump in the pool as it starts going up, and they will. And they'll wow you with their talk of deltas and gammas and betas and their glossy presentations. But it's basically a bunch of idiots fighting their emotions just like you do. And but they get paid for performance, and they get paid. It's not so much about performance; they get paid regardless. It's how many assets are under management, and they've got to stay in the pack. They've got to stay in the pack so they don't lose assets under management. 485, David. I am a genius. You probably could just say the video's not. Yeah, I'll do that. So now what? That's pretty good. It's not financial advice and for entertainment only. And boy, is it entertaining. It is entertaining. Watch the YouTube, The Wall Street Conspiracy. It's very good. Our markets are a joke. Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit, but what Atkins just did proves it to you. Wall Street regulates itself, and it's a few people at the top that have it set up to benefit themselves, and they control the government. BlackRock, I should have looked that up, but BlackRock has 11 or 12 trillion dollars under management. That's bigger than almost every country in the world in terms of financial assets and clout. BlackRock has as they call it, geopolitical clout. And BlackRock, I think, has a vested interest in the destruction of Ukraine. BlackRock has a vested interest in the renewal of the Cold War with the Soviet Union. BlackRock has a vested interest in Greater Israel and the destruction that will be caused in the Middle East. And for all I know, BlackRock has an interest in China's rumored takeover of Taiwan. I don't know. But money rules, power rules, and it's not your government. It's not your government, unfortunately. It's still not too late to buy finger. Well, they're going to have a solution for economic nuclear fusion plants. It's about 20 years away. They've been saying that for 20 years. Although that's the old joke, but I did see that MIT might have broken the code. And I made a copy of that article. I wouldn't mind exploring that. There's energy and batteries and energy solutions are the only way that we can keep this very complicated civilization going. And if we can suss out new companies, just new frontiers of energy, we could make a lot of money in that. And that's kind of what this is about, is trying to make money. It's the only measuring stick for what, and that's why when I say that I predicted finger, I didn't make money on it, so I feel like it's kind of a woulda, coulda, shoulda. But hey, that's life in my particular slow lane. All right, John, I've had two people other than you ask me about platinum and palladium. I need to educate myself more. Big JR, eating lunch with Bill today. Yeah, I wish I had eaten lunch. I made that mistake to get started without eating. You're a scholar and a gentleman, and there ain't many of us left. I guess you're including yourself. I don't know. I wouldn't mind living up to your praise, thank you, but I feel like I fall short of both items that you say. A friend of mine just said, do you ever notice football terms and stock market terms can all be a little bit sexual? He says on Nixie, over the coming days, does Nixie fill the gap? Yeah, that's the gap I saw this morning. Everybody thinks they're smarter than I am, but I saw it first. I saw it first. The chart says yes. I'm hoping he thinks it'll come back and fill the gap and make a double bottom. That's the sexual reference. The chart says yes. I am hoping the news is strong enough that it doesn't. I disagree with him. I don't think the chart says it's coming back. I think we just did it. Whatever the chart wanted to do, we just did it. He uses a different charting service than I do, and it looks like 196 was the 198. Well, no, 196 was the resistance, and it broke through that. And obviously, pulling back to around 196, you come back to test the resistance. I think we're just going to go up from here. I don't think we have to have a double bottom. Maybe we can just pinch the bottom and move on. David, Mullen reverse split for the 9th time. Let's talk about all that stuff. All right, it looks like we're getting to the bottom of the comments, so I can lose. Ham's having a call at noon. Okay, I didn't see that, so I hope everyone's gone over to Ham's call. I didn't know it's coming on at noon. I'm just trying to get on with you guys before Novak Djokovic plays tennis, because I want to watch him. Hopefully he's going to beat Zverev. But I watched about a set of Sinner against Bublik. These guys are powerful. Bam, bam. Djokovic, is 38 years old. I hope he can keep up. Yeah, 617560. Sinner. I'm probably going to root for, well, I'm rooting for Djokovic, but if the final is Sinner versus Alcaraz, Sinner could do a calendar slam, and Djokovic came close. And that one time in New York, I believe if he had won that US Open, he would have had a calendar slam that year. I think that year he would have. But he, in frustration, hit the ball and it hit a lineswoman, and she went all in dramatic mode. And so they defaulted him. Yesterday, Draper hit a lines, I don't know if it was a woman or a man, but he hit a lines person. I didn't see it. I tuned in just as it had happened. And they didn't do anything. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, let's go down to the bottom. G-Bucks just hit $5. Well, I called it. That's a ham. That's a ham recommendation. So if it works out, all credit goes to him. But man, I told you to buy it at 271. Well, anyway, all joking aside, I did buy a little bit, 681 shares at 271. So I can get credit for that because I actually did it. So 537, David, bid. 538, ask. 528. Sorry, 527 bid. 528 bid, 538 ask, now 512. It's starting to get a little algo-ish going on. 528 bid, 538 ask. David, I put my order in to sell. You're gonna laugh at me. I shouldn't tell you. You'll laugh at me. So I won't tell you. I won't tell you. 536, 538. I mentioned it the other day, what I might do. Next, you have 2,000 Nixie. I should start counting Nix. I haven't done it, so I can start doing that, Benjamin. Just an old habit. If I had a book, if I had my clients, I could have, I could have 30 people in a stock, and they're not trained this way anymore. But we used to be trained to pick stocks and make money for people, and then when you sold out, you had to be ready to have with a new idea, and you could have a big day for your clients and for yourself. But now they just all put it in money management so they can cheat. 510, 538. All right, I'm going to show you some things because I don't think I'll lose any comments. Well, I'll lose them, but it won't matter because I've already read them. Oh, I guess we have to talk about that at some point. That was my chart. This was my chart of Railtown I showed you the other day, and this is not current. This is over the weekend, so it's not current with today's action. But I'll pause here and point out to you that in my read of what happened here, is it broke out above that resistance line, and now it's pulling back to test it. It's a very normal dynamic. The other dynamic going on, depending on how you want to count it, you could count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times already, or you just do 3 times most recently. But whatever you want to count, this stock has tried to get through 40 cents with authority since it first did long ago, and hasn't made it. It goes up to 40-ish and pulls back, goes up, pulls back, goes up, pulls a lot, goes up again, and then goes all the way back down. That's the other thing. If it gets through 40, let's say 40, 42, 43, 44. Wait a minute. Let me see this number on the chart. Yeah. Anyway, to be safe, if it gets through 45 cents, I think you're off to the races. But first, they'll pause around 60 cents. But then once it busts 60 cents, what do you think it could do? Double? That's what I think. $1.20. $1.20. What's this one? Oh, that was Finger. But that's back when I was making my suggestions that nobody listened to. And this was also Finger, back when I was making my suggestions. See the green line? I said, hey, well, it's probably a good time to sell calls, take a little bit of profit. That green line is a very powerful 3-year resistance. But anyway, that's yesterday. Let's not focus on what's already happened. And let me see if I can find anything to talk to you about. Yeah, I want to do that. I want to talk about that. That gets us a little off topic, but I want to do it because people think I make things up sometimes. And I don't mean to come across that way. I like to enter things into evidence for the alarmist items I say sometimes. G-Bucks 533. So, David, what's my thoughts now on G-Bucks? It's up $1, 533. I wish I owned more, but life is thus. Okay, here is a nightmare that we need to talk about. This was in Bloomberg. I think Kristen Shaughnessy put this up on Twitter as well. I happened to find it because I was talking with somebody and they brought it up, so I Googled it. But one place to find it is on Twitter, Kristen Shaughnessy. But look what this is. This is June 3rd, 2025. SEC dismissals of dealer suits open door to more toxic loan. And they quote toxic as if it's not really happening. And this chick here smiling, I think she's actually let's find out. I think she might be one of the good guys. This woman. Let me see. It says here, SEC Commissioner Caroline Camphora on Capitol Hill last year. She raised concerns about the dismissal. So she's one of the good guys. the Trump administration's about face on Wall Street enforcement, which began with a retreat from suits against crypto trading giants, has now let toxic, quote unquote, lenders off the hook on a Depression era registration requirement for securities dealers. So in other words, Jeff Easton, the Kramers, Ari Rubenstein, and etc. can continue to sell stock to you without a prospectus, and they can sell stock that doesn't exist. They don't have to register as dealers. And you think Trump's going to rescue you. I'm not picking on Trump. I just think he's got 18 months left and he's focused on World War III. The banks have confused everybody. Just like what happens in other places in the world, the issues get confused, so everyone thinks it's moral to go along with genocide. The Securities and Exchange Commission's sudden dismissal. Does that make you feel good? The Securities and Exchange Commission's sudden dismissal of several dealer lawsuits in an unprecedented move to abandon the agency's primary mandate of enforcing securities laws enacted by Congress. The SEC's sole remaining Democratic commissioner, Caroline Crenshaw, said in a statement last month. That's not much of a statement, but at least she's on our side. Quote, oh, she said in a statement last month, it's my eyesight. It's my eyesight. Quote, it is astonishing that an agency tasked with enforcing the law has decided the law does not matter, unquote, she said. So Caroline Crenshaw is our new hero, but she's going to be ignored. The SEC on May 22nd dropped a string of cases. Do you think that the Kramers are protected by Stevie Cohen? Do you think Jeff Easton is protected by Stevie Cohen and the Toad? The SEC on May 22nd dropped a string of cases targeting lenders that obtain a type of debt from penny stock companies that can be converted into a stock at a percentage discount from the market price. The lenders then can quickly sell the shares into the public market. That's totally not what happens. The shares can't be sold for 6 months. What happens is that the lying attorneys, the broker dealers, and the regulators look the other way as Jeff Easton's clients sell stocks that do not exist against the law. But this note gives the prime broker comfort to say, sure, hell, we'll let you do it. The prime dealer. The lenders can, she's wrong on that. They don't understand it. Often causing the shares to plummet, always causing the shares to plummet, and sending the penny stock companies into a death spiral, according to critics. Critics, according to truthful observers who call the loans toxic. They are toxic. They're not toxic. They're suicidal. They're murderous. Investors will lose key protections without dealer registration enforcement from the SEC, though issuers will still have the option to pursue claims through private litigation. Look, once it goes into litigation, you're not making money anymore. You're hoping for justice, and you end up with attorneys like Mark Bazile who settle and may work for the other side. But he certainly works for his own pocketbook, which is to settle, which means working for the other side, whether intentionally or not. The lawyers are the same lawyers. I'm sick of talking about it. We've got to make money despite all this. These so-called toxic, they are toxic lending firms, are operating essentially without any oversight now. They always have, and I think we're going to see an increase in the number of companies and individuals providing these types of toxic financings, said Brenda Hamilton, a securities lawyer and founder of Hamilton and Associates Law Group. Well, then your great protector, Tony DeNiro, comes out and warns you about this. Tony DeNiro, I think, works and gets paid by the other side. But that's a theory. I can't prove it. I don't know him. But he gets paid. He likes to point out in his post, I can show it to you. He points out that companies now will do this with their paid promoters. Well, Tony, who the hell pays you to promote your side? You're not doing it for free. You are not doing it for free. But it's not the issue. The issue is that these small companies, nobody talks about the companies. Nobody. So if they pay, as all companies do, COSM, the shorts pay Tony DeNiro to come seem so reasonable. Probably. I don't know for sure. But any of you know him, ask him. He has no compunction pointing out, and it causes people in my audience who I treasure to ask me if I'm a consultant, as if that's the point. I'm not, for finger, but that's not the issue of what's happening. Anyway, it's just stupid. Anyway, G-Bucks is 542, 548. The high is 572. See, I told you. I'm the one that told you to buy it at 271, and it went to 572, $3 above where I told you to buy it. Pretty good. All right. And then crypto they talk about. Tossing the dealer suits encourages other entities to flout regulation, of course, and other requirements, and damages the framework meant to protect investors. Of course. Crenshaw said, "It's a worrisome world when we help participants evade the law because the money is so big and the same law firm works on both sides. And Stevie Cohen couldn't get the rates of return he gets without cheating at arm's length." Read the book. The SEC declined to comment because it's bought and paid for. The SEC has now walked away from at least 3 of the dealer cases initiated under Gensler. Yeah, bravo for Gensler. Another milquetoast bought and paid for guy. LG Capital Funding, Tribridge Vendors, and L2 Capital. And there's more to come. The SEC's choice to step away from enforcement, despite its record of success. Are you kidding? Signals a policy shift as part of a broader deregulatory push under the Trump administration. Commissioner Mark Uida, another useless guy, has vocally opposed dealer suits in the past, laying the blame for toxic lending on the issuers, the companies, and the CEOs, I guess, which is just incredible. Blame the 19-year-old girl who was just raped. Blame her. With Atkins now at the helm, the SEC's stated goal has become enforcing more straightforward instances of fraud. This isn't straightforward enough. Rather than pursuing registration-related action, this is strictly an administrative policy decision not to pursue these securities violation, said Mark Bazile, a senior attorney at Bazile Law Firm, who has represented issuers suing companies for dealer registration violations, and then he settles and the stock goes to zero. I think that's part of a charade to help the whole group, the whole complex. This policy decision doesn't change the existing case law the courts look at to see if they were engaging in unregistered dealer activity, and it doesn't stop the public company issuers from pursuing civil claims. Well, that sounds a lot better right there. That sounds a lot better, and maybe he is on our side. I don't know. All I know is he's ineffective at keeping looking out for shareholder value. Totally ineffective. But that's the legal system. They don't concern. They just want to get paid. They want to settle, get paid. A retreat from dealer registration doesn't necessarily mean the agency will drop the matter. But the SEC has already sent a strong signal by abandoning enforcement in this area, so the agency could opt to let the halted litigation speak for itself, according to Carlo De Florio, president of compliance at the firm ACA Group. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to read the rest of it. It's too depressing. It's just too depressing. It's just too depressing. Speaking of Trump, I don't know if I'm right, but he seems to not be front and center right now. I hope it's because he's meeting Putin somewhere. Okay, I guess I went through everything that I wanted, that I had formed in my brain. G-Bucks is 548. Question is, when do you sell it? Here's a question for people in G-Bucks. And of course, I already know the answer because I'm so smart. But I'll let you answer it first so it looks like I came up with the answer. Is the buying in G-Bucks just because the dividend is tomorrow? Or is there something else going on? Because if it's just for the dividend tomorrow, then it's probably it's a decision you have to make. Tomorrow it could go down because it's trading ex-dividend. Well, let's see how it goes. We got one more hour before the Joker plays. Yeah. Yeah, I sometimes do well betting. I don't bet a lot if I go to the races, but I did make 1,500 once. That was something. That was a long time ago. Do you think shorting paused in G-Bucks because of dividend dates, so they don't want to increase short position, but they want to resume it? No, I think it's more likely that people are buying G-Bucks in order to get the dividend. And then tomorrow that buying will disappear, so they'll sell off tomorrow. I can't get frankly, I can't get a chart at all on G-Bucks on my service that I use. I don't know why, it just doesn't come up. So I don't have that crutch to look at. I am confused why G-Bucks hasn't announced that they closed the deal. And maybe we should look and see if they've extended the dividend date. Because why would you, if you're going to make that big investment, why would you not get it done before? Oh, shoot. Let me just look. G-Bucks. G-Bucks, Alula, be my baby. No, nothing there. So I know, I guess Ham said recently that there's news this week on G-Bucks. I don't know. The most logical news would be closing that deal. But yeah, I should have gotten something to eat. I'm feeling. Oh, well, the big beautiful bill also saves 1.7 trillion over a period of time. They didn't say that. Chinese nationals caught smuggling agro-terrorism into fungus into America's breadbasket. Swell. Let's just open up the borders. And if you're against it, you're a racist. I don't know. You guys voted for the Democrats. You voted for the 23-year-old that ran the auto pen. Bitcoin becomes safe collateral. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink used a Financial Times op-ed. I should try to get that, but I'm sure it's behind the wall, to say globalization is over, which is something I've been warning you about. We're going to reshore everything, which means commodities. And he continued, and we need a new draft without massive trade and financial imbalances causing inequality. He causes inequality. And with local economies that help workers. Oh, he wants to help workers, does he? The logical implications of such are staggering. No more massive trade surpluses and deficits, upending the global trading structure. No more freewheeling global capital flows, creating those trade surpluses and deficits and holdings of certain assets. More local consumption first, with what's left exported, so less trade overall, and a reallocation of purchasing power from top income deciles to those at the bottom via more inclusive local capitalism across those taking part in the new system. Bullshit. Of course, this BlackRock rhetoric could be the next Build Back Better, i.e., an empty incantation nobody actually expected to achieve anything, but which sounded good to the disaffected. Remember, if Democrats say it, it's truthful. Build back better. Wow, what truth. However, it would be hard to argue that things are currently static. Rather, things are moving quickly and breaking up. Indeed, what Fink just said sounds a lot like some past neo-mercantilists and some interpretations of what the White House is trying to achieve. Well, all right. It's interesting. The Saudis want to supersize OPEC production hikes. There's two things. One, can they do it? And two, if they go too far, they can destroy their reservoirs. But at the same time, I would point out that they probably have the best in the world at it's called 4D seismic, sort of tracking the flow of oil in the reservoirs. They probably have the best. Silver soars, so I'm going to miss the silver trade. U.S. Embassy official warns Americans not to use dating apps to meet people in Mexico. I don't know. You guys use dating apps. Zelensky says more Russia talks pointless. Well, he's going to lose his country. S&P 6,000 looms. Who called it? Who called it? I say 8,500. 8,500. Did you expect it to even go to 6,000? I did. They have a new U.S. centralized government database under this Planeteer. I wonder why they can't track trades in the stock market. Canada has no gold reserves. They sold them. which is a caution. Eric Sprott stores his gold and silver, at least in the majority, in Canada. And it's just something to bear in mind. There's no 100% safe place for anything, but it's something to bear in mind for, they could just take it all over if the world goes wacko. All right, let's see what you're saying. Whatever they are short now, the amount will go up 10%. They need to cover. Yeah, that's true. Go grab a snack. What do you recommend? I'll probably check to see when Djokovic. I probably won't stay on. Maybe I can come back on later, but I want to watch Djokovic play. Zverev. All right, so G-Bucks is 515 to 520. Traded to 572. So the thing with G-Bucks, if it's up because people are buying it to get the dividend, it'll be down tomorrow. And the criminals will try to sell it down tomorrow to get you to think that. And my assumption is tomorrow is the record date. I don't know. But it could also be up because they're going to get this deal done. And the buying's out there because someone heard the deal's done. We don't know. It looks pretty strong today. But it's not huge volume, 145,000 shares. Not huge, but it's pretty good. It's easy to borrow and easy to love when it stays. Banana, I don't have any bananas. Yes, I will. All right, let's look at anything else. Nixie is 204. I think anything above $2 in Nixie means it's going to 260 next, 203 to 204. The volume is almost double the daily average, so something's going on there. That's fun. Maybe that's going to finally go. Railtown has some green. Railtown is 34.13 to 34.99, and I say, I think collectively, that I know about, we have roughly 1 million shares, so that's exciting. I just don't really want to talk about it too much because I don't want to jinx anything. But I think Railtown's on a verge of a good June, maybe July, but I think it'll be a good June, just like Nixie, just like potentially G-Bucks and other stories we've followed. But Yeah. And then fingers down a little bit, but that might just be trading on the bid. 261 to 262. No, it's trading in between at 261.5. And yeah. Now let me look at one other thing if it translates. I went and yeah, this is a friend of mine sent me a newsletter, but it's very dense. So I guess I would prefer to read it before I get started, but I like it. I like it very much. And then let's see. Of course, I always say, remember my name, and it always says sign in. So it gets all complicated. Oh, fill password. All right. All right. That was easy. I was complaining, but it was easy. It was easy peasy. I love it. This guy is amazing. This is David Morgan. He says, this month, I'm going to discuss what I call the great rebalancing, why the world needs less finance and more real economy. Bravo, 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 bravo. In the modern, I'm reading from his, I'm not going to, you have to pay to subscribe, so I'm not going to read all of it because it's not fair to him, but it might be a titillation. In the modern economy, finance is no longer the bloodstream of commerce. Today, the finance, insurance, real estate sector, FIRE, accounts for over 20% of US GDP, making it the single largest segment of the economy. But this is not a badge of honor. Rather, it is a red flag, a signal that the world's most powerful economy is built more on financial manipulation than on productive labor, real innovation, or tangible wealth creation. And that's why the banksters run the government. Wow, I love that topic. And I remember talking to you many, many times about how finance was a small portion of the Dow or of the economy when I first started. Well, this is just 4 or 5 paragraphs. Silver, which remains well below its all-time $50 high, is now near an all-time high in total holdings globally. And ETFs. Institutional interest is growing. even though retail demand is declining. That's because NVIDIA is up. You got to take advantage of when NVIDIA is going, people are distracted, you buy silver. You can buy NVIDIA too to trade if you want to. Despite subdued retail interest, that's you, wholesale silver demand remains robust. May alone has seen 74 million ounces delivered on the COMEX. Year-to-date, COMEX silver activity shows 217 million ounces deposited and 47.7 million ounces withdrawn. This immense turnover underscores intense physical movement, indicating heavy demand for silver from institutional buyers and industrial users. Much of this silver is likely sourced from JP Morgan. Over 245 million ounces are estimated to have been flown into the COMEX from London. That's a lot of heavy planes, and elsewhere, likely from JP Morgan's vaults. That is not my vault. They appear to be supplying silver to satisfy demand from ETFs and global funds, plugging the growing physical deficit now entering its fifth year. And I've shown you that. I might have a chart to show you if it's still here. The COMEX currently has 496.7 million ounces, though its true available inventory is likely much smaller than that. Of that number, 103 million ounces are held in trust for SLV, leaving JP Morgan with just 112 million ounces in effective silver stock. By comparison, PSLV, you've heard of that one, haven't you? By comparison, PSLV holds 186.7 million ounces. You've heard of that one, haven't you? Whilst SLV has 457 million ounces, up 7.9 million this week. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the short interest dropped another 26%, down to 43.25 million shares of SLV. Still, so the SLV short interest dropped to 43.25 million shares, but it's still an unbacked paper position with no physical metal to match, violating the fund's own prospectus. Remember that. That might be a reason to own the SLV. They might make it scrambled to buy. On the other hand, it could all go bust. So it's dangerous. If JP Morgan ever slows deliveries substantially or even halts metal deliveries, short covering could trigger severe supply stress in silver. BlackRock has already warned this could occur because BlackRock is concerned for you. There's also the looming overhang of the OTC silver short held by, there's also the looming overhang of the OTC silver short held by Bank of America, around 1 billion ounces. Whew. Whew. Can you say blow up? blown up? Bank of America. That would be, if the stock market goes to these highs, Bank of America might be a stock to buy long-term puts on. So 1 billion shares, 1 billion ounces short with JP Morgan on the and others on the long side. But JP Morgan used to have the reputation of being the most short silver. So that's an incongruity that I cannot explain. Bank of America are reportedly short gold as well, to the tune of 25 million ounces. So is Bank of America a place you keep a lot of cash? Bottom line, I skipped a bit because I don't want to read everything he writes. Bottom line, silver fundamentals are strengthening behind the scenes. Institutional accumulation is outpacing the price of the silver. A revolution event seems inevitable when silver is finally unleashed from COMEX constraints. The upside could be dramatic. Could be. It will be dramatic. All right, platinum. He writes about platinum. This is for John Croissant. Croissant. All right, let's see what it says about platinum. Platinum. I didn't know that anybody that I follow follows platinum. John probably already knows this, but South Africa, I didn't know it. South Africa accounts for a huge portion of global platinum production. I didn't know that. And the ongoing geopolitical and social issues there definitely have the potential to drive platinum prices higher. Instability disrupts mining operations and can limit supply. The lawyers tell you to use all those words. Given how concentrated platinum production is in South Africa, any significant disruption there can lead to supply shortages, pushing prices up. Fuel cells, which convert hydrogen into electricity, rely heavily on platinum as a catalyst to speed up chemical reactions. The same goes for electrolyzers. I can't quite say that word, which use platinum or platinum group metals, I guess that includes palladium, to produce hydrogen from water through electrolysis. I think producing ammonia from water is the future of the automobile, of the combustion engine. Look up Toyota. Look up Matthew Simmons. As the world shifts toward cleaner energy sources, the demand for hydrogen as a fuel is expected to grow significantly. This could lead to substantial increases in platinum demand, especially if hydrogen fuel cell vehicles and green hydrogen production scale projects scale up as anticipated. However, The extent of platinum's role will depend on technological advancements. Researchers are working on reducing the amount of platinum needed or finding alternative catalysts. Still, for now and for the foreseeable future, platinum's unique properties make it hard to replace in these applications, which bodes well for its demand in the hydrogen economy. It is possible for platinum to trade at a premium to gold. That's a question mark. Historically, platinum has often been more expensive than gold because of its rarity and its crucial industrial applications. In recent years, platinum has traded at a discount to gold, attributable to several factors: a surplus in supply, reduced demand from the automotive sector as diesel vehicles declined, and the rise of palladium as a preferred metal for gasoline engines. However, if the hydrogen economy takes off, that's an if, and significantly boosts platinum demand, or if there are, that's another if there are sustained supply constraints from South Africa, platinum could narrow that gap or even surpass gold again, although we think this is unlikely. Market dynamics can shift quickly. The surge in Chinese demand for platinum jewelry is quite interesting. Historically, China has been a significant consumer of platinum, especially for jewelry. But that demand has waned in recent years because of shifting fashion trends, and maybe a lot of Chinese people died. I said that. He didn't say that. Recently, there's been a notable resurgence in interest in platinum. I guess in China. Platinum jewelry is being marketed as a premium, stylish alternative to gold, appealing to younger consumers. Also, economic conditions and currency fluctuations may make platinum an attractive investment and adornment option. The growing demand from China could provide a solid floor for platinum prices and add another level of demand beyond industrial and automotive uses. If platinum starts to gain more attention as a strategic metal for the green economy, we could see more institutional interest and even new financial instruments tied to platinum. Finally, technological innovations in recycling platinum from used catalytic converters could influence supply. It's a niche, but growing area that could help balance some of the supply-demand equation over time. Anyway, that's for John. So, which countries do you think in the world have nuclear weapons? I'll go from the smallest first. Which country has the fewest nuclear weapons? Survey says North Korea, you're right, 50. Coming in at the second fewest on the list, Israel with 90 weapons. Next up is Pakistan with 170, but India beats them, but not by much. India has 172 nuclear weapons. The United Kingdom comes in powerfully at 1, 2, 3, 4, at the 5th overall position with 225 nuclear weapons. And the French come in the 4th position with 290 nuclear weapons. And then comes China with 500. And then comes the United States with 3,708 nuclear weapons. 3,708 nuclear weapons. Unless you count AOC, we have 3,709. And then the number one country by nuclear warhead inventories is Russia. And that's the country we're attacking. 4,380. Sheer genius. Sheer genius. Can I say that again? It's sheer genius. I'm so glad women are in charge now. Titanium. I'm not going to read it, but titanium is, you know, the top producer of titanium in the world? China. Do you know who's number 2? Mozambique. You know who's number 3? South Africa. You know who's number 4? Australia. You know who's number 5 in titanium mine production? Norway. You know who's number 6? Canada. You know who's number 7? Senegal. Do you know who's number 8? Madagascar. Do you know who's number 9? India. Do you know who's number 10? Ukraine. You know who's the number 11? United States. So Endeavor Silver announced the acquisition of a Peruvian silver company, Colpa, which produces 2 million ounces of gold, of silver, sorry. It's my eyesight's so bad. Anyway, this is what's going to happen. The bigger companies are going to start buying up the smaller ones. So there's an opportunity to build a portfolio, which I'd like to do. We now know that China's industrial demand for silver exceeds 10,000 tons annually. I have no mind. I don't know how many ounces that is. MULN is at $24. What, oh God, do I have to? I have to. I guess I have to. Always have to. Always have to get trapped into figuring out what the reverse split was. Oh, 5 days ago, David, Mullen does a 1 for 100 reverse stock split. 1 for 100. So it's at $24, but it's really at 24 cents. 1 for 100. Effective June 2nd, 2025. 1 for 100. And of course, it's trading on NASDAQ where it will get slaughtered. It's intended to bring the company into compliance with the $1 minimum bid price, just to say on Adina Freeman's loser exchange. How long will it take them to suck all that premium out of the market and get it below 1? So they'll reduce the 80 million of shares outstanding, will be now 800,000 shares. Well, time to do a new toxic convertible note. Unbelievable. Nixie is 203. G-Bucks is 507. Fingers down slightly. Railtown's up very slightly. I don't have any idea what that means. Oh, all right. Chestnuts has rail. Chestnut has 18,700 rail. I'll add it if it ever works, which I think it will, obviously. Multiple reports on Twitter that Fidelity has been trying to buy shares at $5 in G-Bucks. Wow, there you go. There you go. Nixie, 5 million revenue in May. Multiple reports on Twitter has been calling investors G-Bucks to lend out a little over 5. Wow. Does your dog bite? Does your vault bite? That is not my dog. Wes Christian stated that you have been saying, what I've been saying forever? He mentioned the dilution fraud of creating fake shares in all markets. Yeah. I called into West early on. I didn't know him, knew him. I just called in on my own. I called in 2 or 3 times. He never returned my call. He probably thought I was a big loser. Pizza rules. Been a clume into the Knicks for now. Plenty of green skies ahead. I am my DD. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. They went to war for mineral rights. I think BlackRock wants to rebuild Ukraine. They want the minerals. But I also think it's tied to our banking system is really over leveraged, and it's starved for real collateral. So Russia has the most collateral out there, and it looks like it's easy to grab. I don't think it's easy to grab, but they're going to try. I also think Germany, I don't understand it. Why Germany is destroying itself, or the UK. I don't know why. It's all this wokeism, womanism. I don't get it. But to me, all Germany had to do was widen their train tracks or narrow them. I think they have to widen them. I think the Soviet trains are wider than European, but I might have it backwards. But all they had to do is make that adjustment, turn their focus around, and they could be supplying Russia, China, Southeast Asia, India, that whole part of the world. But instead, they're hanging their hat on ancient hatreds and NATO. It's not a good bet for them. But the UK and Germany both are struggling economically. And what a better thing to do than go to war. France really has a bit of an empire. I didn't realize it. I mean, we all think of it, but we don't really realize it. It's a little bit more powerful than it occurs. But G-Bucks up 83 cents. All right, I'm going to quit in 9 minutes because I'm going to go watch Djokovic. Technically, I'll probably just watch him here. I probably won't go anywhere, but I'm not going to be able to watch it if I'm talking to you. It's because the stock always reverse splits. Yeah. I mean, guys, the SEC is controlled by BlackRock, Cohen, Griffin, Goldman Sachs. You can fill in the blank. But those people, other than that woman that what was her name? Cromwell or Chowder or something? Christian? What was her? Anyway, I'd read her. Other than she, they all want a job at the big law firms. They all want jobs at Goldman Sachs. So it's never going to end. The easiest money in the world is getting. That's another thing that I wanted to comment on that Tony DeNaro said, as if he's just such a great, thoughtful, intelligent protector of your interests. And maybe he is. I don't know the guy. But he put out that all you need to read are the warnings in the prospectuses and in the offerings. It's all there. Well, that's true. That's in every offering, those wordings are there. In every single one. It's all there. So I can't contradict that. I mean, the risks in all these stocks, when lawyers write up the risks, it's pretty stark. But that's not why that doesn't cover anyone that's helping the criminals. Because if you're actively colluding, if you're getting payoffs, if you're getting kickbacks, and if you're linking the long Wall Street practice of hiring PR and IR and investment banks to promote your story, if you're linking that with the criminals, to me, it's suspicious. You may actually work. You may actually work with the criminals to create FUD. I don't know. GNLN, stair stepping. I have no idea what GNLN is. All right, let's see what this 328 and 411 was the last time G-Bucks was $5. One right before the run up to 10. Yeah, it's just a round number. But it's an interesting point, what you're making. It ran to 10 the other time. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a chart on it, so I don't know if it's all $5 means anything or not. Nixie now is 204. I've got 5 minutes to watch the Joker, the Toker, the Midnight Smoker. I've got to watch him get his loving on the run. All right, let me call your attention to something, and I'll try to do it quickly. But I think it's important to understand a little bit of what's going on. This is from Martin Armstrong. Oh yeah, Viper. You talked about Viper before. Are Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal in Ukraine to tell Zelensky to ignore Trump? Is this not treason? Do you think Putin will retaliate against NATO for this foolish stunt by Zelensky? Martin Armstrong's answer yesterday. Senator Lindsey Graham is a ruthless neocon, and his actions I would regard as treason, usurping foreign policy from the president when the neocons all supported Kamala to wage this war with Russia. I believe that the DOJ should immediately arrest Graham and Blumenthal on national security grounds to demonstrate to Putin that this attack on their nuclear bombers, which was by no means a defensive attack by Zelensky, but was a NATO attack on Russia. Do you think Graham or Blumenthal ever lifted weights? I know. Do I? No, I don't. It's boring. These senators applauded Ukraine's resourcefulness in pulling off a successful attack on Sunday. These are the neocons who failed to get Kamala elected and failed to assassinate Trump so they could wage their wars. They have now outright usurped foreign policy when no senator has such authority. Graham's praise for Ukraine's attack Sundays called the country ever resourceful. Zelensky claimed he, quote unquote, informed the United States in advance, which the Trump administration said he did not, as well as reliable sources on Martin Armstrong's end. However, rumors are also saying that Zelensky informed Graham and Blumenthal. They should be put on trial for treason. Euronews first reported Ukraine's massive drone attack at 1:08 on June 1, 2025. This strike was an intentional Russian version of Pearl Harbor trying to start World War III. This was a shocking precision strike deep inside Russian territory. I believe, Martin Armstrong does, with the aid of British MI6 to take out significant assets of Moscow's strategic bomber fleet for NATO, not Ukraine. This way, he thinks it's done for NATO. And then he points out this timeline. Senator Blumenthal's departure was May 30th. Blumenthal's Post first reported the attack at, it's too complicated. This means that 35 hours, 9 minutes later, Russia's nuclear-capable bombers are hit. This is treason. They then left Ukraine to meet with the EU leader Macron for a war discussion. At the exact moment Ukraine's drone struck Russia's nuclear bombers, both Senators Lindsey Graham and Richard Blumenthal were in Paris when the bomb struck, behind closed-door meetings with none other than the warmonger, French President Emmanuel Macron, who tells Europe, forget America. France will protect Europe with their nuclear weapons. Zelensky claimed he destroyed Russia's nuclear bombers because this, quote, equipment was used to strike Ukraine. The lies are endless, and the fake news only reported the propaganda put out by the neocons. Well, that's a little unfair. Trump and truth are oxymoronic. CNN and truth, fake news and truth, that's unfair. They're truthful. Hey, you got to hate Trump and love the news, love the Democratic Party, love anybody that's anti-Trump. If the fake news read their own stories, they might just discover that they also bragged about how Russia does not use its air force in Ukraine because of the Patriot missiles. So which is the truth? The truth is that this operation was for NATO, attacking nuclear bombers that have never flown over the Ukraine. When will the press start to be real journalists? When they stop being women? It does not look like that will ever happen. They are too busy. That's not all women. That's not all women. It does not look like it will ever happen. They are too busy reading the scripts given them from NATO and the neocons to care for 1 second about the survival of the West itself. However, to clarify, Russia has utilized 3 primary strategic bombers to launch cruise missile strikes against the Ukraine: the Tu-95MS, the Tupolev 22M3, and the Tupolev 160. These aircraft have been employed in various operations throughout the conflict, targeting Ukrainian infrastructure and cities, but they have not flown over Ukraine. They are considered dual capable bombers like our B-52s and our B-2s because they can employ nuclear and conventional weapons. All right, I'm going to go watch The Joker. Well, Wes also said the reason they don't fix it is if they did, it brings down the system worldwide. Yeah. That's why I think we should be advocating for just fixing the over-the-counter market, or just fixing the over-the-counter market and part of NASDAQ. Anything under roughly $1 billion. The problem is if you give a specific target, the shorts will make that a target and they'll get everything under or over $1 billion. You know, you got to have some room for discretion. Anyway, thanks for showing up. I'm sorry if I caused you to miss the Ham call. You can go get Ham on Twitter. I'm going to go watch Djokovic. I hope beat Zverev. It's going to be a hell of a match. It's a hell of a thing. And you know, maybe I'll come back on tonight, but I'm not promising it. And we'll probably for sure talk tomorrow. So peace to everyone. Pray for peace. Let's look at the prices one more time around the league. Finger is down slightly, but it's hanging in pretty well at 260 with 261,000 in volume. Railtown is 34.58 with decent volume, nothing out of the ordinary. Nixie at 203, perking up. That's the bid. The volume is double normal over the last 10 days, double average. And my opinion, now that it's above 260 is the next technical target. It's not a promise. G-Bucks is 512, up 88 cents. Question is it up to catch the dividend, or is there some other news going on? And you know better than I do. Yeah, pharmacopoeia. I'm not going to put that up as the last message before I sign out. But yeah, there's a lot of propaganda going on and a lot of, we got to wake up. We have to wake up. Anyway, cheers to everyone. I want to go watch my tennis. Ciao.